This video is just going to review the different types of internal comments that you can make in a program. If I open up the crab class, or any class, it doesn't have to be the crab class, we can take a look at the comments that are already here. And remember, I have showed you how to do single comments in class because you were asked to put your name and you were asked to put, I'm trying to think, the course that we were in, Computer Science Principles, for example, Fall 2018. And we had probably the assignment name, etc. These are single comments. When you have the 2 forward slashes, those are single comments. If you notice throughout Greenfoot, there are these comments in your code where it starts with a slash, 2 asterisks, and it ends in an asterisk slash. Those are special comments called Java docs. And what happens is that's what sets up all of your documentation behind the scenes. So if you see comments like these, that's Java docs. The behind-the-scenes documentation created in Java Docs can be found by going to Tools and Documentation View, and then you can see what looks like an API for your crab class. If I scroll down, it shows a constructor and it shows all the methods that we've been working with. For example, look for worm right here. And so if I were to go back to the other view, so if I toggle back, and let's go down to look for worm, for example, and let me take out the Java docs. I'm going to make it just a block comment. This is another type of comment. A single forward slash asterisk and then ending with a asterisk forward slash. If I then go to the documentation view here, I'm not going to see that method for look for worm. It was there just a minute ago. Well, it actually showed up. Why did it show up? I don't know, because it wasn't supposed to. If I go back, it's probably commented in somewhere else maybe, so that it's getting the look for worm in another place. And maybe I need to compile. But generally, if the documents are not set up in that format, it's not going to find that particular method. This one might be pre-canned, and so it's not doing what I want. But actually, it says look for worm, but you notice here where there's a comment right here. Let's go back and see if I comment it back out or comment it back in. And let's see if the comment for look for worm shows up. So if I put it back in Java doc format and I go back and look at that documentation, and now let's see if there is a description for look for worm. There we go. That's what it did. So if I don't have that Java doc notation, it doesn't put this descriptor in there. And so that's how programmers actually create the APIs behind the scenes for much of their documentation, is using Java docs. The other type of documentation that I mentioned there was a multi-line. You guys will use that quite often when you are doing exercises. For example, if I have you creating or doing an exercise, and let's say that you're supposed to do, I'm going to do forward slash asterisk, and we'll just say it's exercise 3.25. I'm making this up. You should describe what the exercise is, and then you're going to have code for that. And your code might be a public void. And instead of a check key press, maybe I'm going to do a check for a voice command or something like that. If we had that capability. If I did a check for a voice command, and then I have all of my exercises, and I do everything that my instructor tells me to, and that is the code is in here, and you got several lines of code. We'll just pretend that you have several lines of code here, okay? Well, then I have you move on to the next exercise. Exercise 3.26, which is another problem from my teacher, etc. And then you have your code, public, maybe this one is public void, random scary monster attack comes in, something, I have no idea. And you're going to program that, and etc. And now if I want you, what's going to generally happen is because you're doing these mini exercises, many times they're independent. Like this exercise here, check voice command, is going to be not work when I have random scary monster attack going on. So what you can do is comment out all of this code by going to edit, and then I believe you can comment that out. And it goes ahead and comments out everything. Now it uses the single comment mark, but you can also go back into edit and uncomment that. So let's say you had to go back to that method and make some changes. Then here's the next exercise, and you can comment out that whole you can comment out that whole block. I will ask you to do that often when I'm wanting you to keep track of your work. I'll say do an exercise and then comment it out. And you can play around. There might be some other shortcuts that you can use, okay? And then you can, if you need to get it back, you can go back in and you can uncomment. Or if you get a little bit handy at it, you can do / asterisk at the beginning. That's a / asterisk. And then at the end, do a asterisk /. So those are the different types of comments in the Greenfoot environment that you're going to be working in. And that's true in any Java environment, and it's also true and holds true with some other programming languages like C++ as well. The Java docs doesn't work in C++, but the other commenting will.